You're watching Rogers TV. This program is brought to you by Rogers Xfinity, connecting you to more of what you love. Visit Rogers.com for more details. The opinions expressed in the following programs are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of Rogers Cable or Rogers TV.
Is this being broadcast evening?
Hello and welcome to the local campaign. Rogers TV is pleased to welcome you today for the South Ottawa Riding Candidates Debate, a debate organized by part of the federal election taking place on Monday, April 28th. Rogers TV invited all candidates to participate in our debate. Today we welcome the 4 candidates out of 7 who have accepted our invitation to share their ideas with the citizens of Canada. I will introduce all of our candidates. First we have Liberal candidate David McGuinty. We then have John Redins of the Canadian Future Party. We then have Hena Masjedee of the New Democratic Party. And we also have Conservative Party leader Blair Turner. Thank you very much for joining us and taking the time out of your busy days to make sure that we all have a conversation. Here's how our debate will unfold. We will begin with a 60-second welcome from each candidate. Then we'll move to question period. We'll ask a question to a randomly selected candidate who will have 45 seconds for the first answer. Then we'll invite the candidates to debate the question for 2 minutes. Following the debate, the candidate to whom we pose the question will have 30 seconds for a reply. To conclude our session today, each candidate will have approximately 1 minute for closing remarks, and this time we will reverse the order. We wish you all good luck. Let's begin with the opening statement. We drew lots to see who would address us first, and it will be our Liberal candidate, David McGuinty.
Thank you very much. Hello to the constituents of Ottawa South. Thank you so much for Rogers for hosting this debate yet again in this campaign. It's been my great honor to serve you as your Member of Parliament since 2004. I was born and raised in Ottawa South, and this is where Brigitte and I have happily raised our 4 children. I can tell you the great majority of my time is devoted to supporting members of our community, meeting the needs of thousands of constituents who need help with issues ranging from immigration to tax problems, procurement problems, pay problems, from pensions to passports and beyond. On Parliament Hill, I was for almost 8 years the chair of the non-partisan, top-secret, all-party National Security and Intelligence Committee of Parliamentarians. I've also had the honor more recently to serve as your Minister of Public Safety and Emergency Preparedness. I've worked very hard with you, with different groups, businesses, NGOs, and beyond to deliver results. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I now invite John Redins of the Canadian Future Party.
We are on the traditional territory of the Algonquin and Mohawk traditional territories. I am a candidate of a new party created in 2024 and intend to bring politics back to the center. We offer no-nonsense and evidence-based solutions that are developed by and for Canadians. I'm looking forward to this debate. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I now invite Masjedee of the New Democratic Party.
Hello, my name is Hena Masjedee, and I am the NDP candidate in Ottawa South. I was born in Ottawa. I've grown up in Ottawa South. I've spent the last 14 years here. I went to high school over at Brookfield High School, and I got my undergrad from Carleton University. I am so lucky to be a part of this community. I don't come from a fancy background or a family of politicians. I'm the daughter of immigrants who moved to Canada from Afghanistan to give my brother and I the best chance at a good life. Canada, to my family, represents a land of opportunity where we could grow up safely and have big dreams. And I know that things are hard right now. Those dreams seem further than ever. People are worried about how they're going to keep a roof over their head, how they're going to put food on the table, or just how they're going to take care of themselves. I want you to know that the NDP is here for you. As your MP, I will work alongside the NDP to make sure that you can take care of yourself and your health using your health card, not your credit card. We will work to strengthen social programs to make sure that if you're affected by the trade war, the government has your back. And we will work to promote peace and justice, both at home and abroad, by ending Israel's genocide in Palestine. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I now invite Mr. Blair Turner of the Conservative Party to share your opening statement.
Thank you. My name is Blair Turner. I grew up in South Keys, Greenboro, and Huncleb areas. I've been married to my wife, Natalie, since 2008 and have 2 young children. I've dedicated my life to public service. First as a reservist with the Canadian Armed Forces, and for the last 19 years as a police officer. I've worked in organized crime, guns, gangs, and drugs, and major crimes such as human trafficking and internet child exploitation. Now I am asking to represent you in Parliament. Like you, I have been increasingly frustrated with the Liberal policies that have made things worse, not better. Crime is up, taxes are up, housing prices are up, and food costs are up. The Liberals are full of empty promises to make things better. Mr. McGuinty wants you to believe that after 10 years of making things worse for Canadians, the people who created the problems can be trusted to fix them. But they can't. It's time for change.
Thank you. And now we move on to our question period. The first question is for Mr. McGuinty of the Liberal Party. Question 1. You have been campaigning for several weeks, meeting with voters in South Ottawa, perhaps even going door to door. What are voters telling you? What is their top priority? And if elected, how will you address it?
Thank you for the question. The overwhelming issue that's at most doors today is the Canada-United States relationship. The question of tariffs is making it very difficult for us right now as a country. The new administration is disrupting the global trading order. It is a new and unseen approach to the use of tariffs globally, and we see it playing out hour by hour on our television screens. And what we're doing under the guidance of Prime Minister Carney, who understands the global economy, understands the American economy and how our economy connects with the American economy, is we are preparing ourselves to undertake much more detailed negotiations after the election on April 28th, an agreement struck between Prime Minister Carney and President Trump.
Thank you very much. I'll open the floor to comments from everyone. 2 minutes to debate.
Well, in the last 10 years, the world has become an unsafe place. We propose that every time Mr. Trump makes a threat on becoming the 51st state, we start expelling a diplomat every time his administration says that. We must diversify our country that are as unstable or non-democratic for our defense. At home, we need to end interprovincial barriers that have 2% of the GDP. We need to make our energy resources available to our European and other democratic allies. We need to look at contracts between the United States and Canada, especially F-35s, because Mr. Trump could block any sale of any spare parts coming into Canada if we need those jets. We have other trusted allies in Europe that we can get those aircrafts from. Let's do it.
Since June of last year, my team and I, we've knocked on about 40,000 houses. And the number one issue that I'm hearing at the doors is not about the tariffs. It's about cost of living, the rise in crime, violent crime, and housing and healthcare. Those have been the top issues and concerns that I'm hearing at the doors from the residents.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting because I'm going to throw in a third issue. So I've been lucky enough to be able to knock on doors and meet my neighbors for the past couple of months. And Ottawa South has a very big Muslim population, about 25,000 people, I think. And one issue that's close to the hearts of everybody in this riding is the Israel-Palestine conflict, Israel's genocide on Palestine. And a lot of our constituents, rightly so, feel a little bit betrayed by the Canadian government continuing to support Israel throughout their genocide. If you vote for the NDP, we will make sure to put an arms embargo on Israel so that no Canadian weapons are used on their genocide, and we will recognize Palestinian statehood, because that's the only way to work towards a solution.
Thank you. That concludes the debate on this question. So I now give the floor to Mr. McGuinty for your final reply for 30 seconds.
You asked what I was hearing at the door. What I'm hearing predominantly is the question of where we're going in our relationship with the United States, which is our most important trading relationship now. I think what we're going to see as we move forward in this election and hopefully after April 28th, under a new Liberal government led by Prime Minister Carney, is an opportunity to retool and rebuild our economy. We're 41 million people strong. We have an opportunity here to strengthen certain sectors. We have an opportunity to diversify our trading markets. That's a wonderful, wonderful opportunity for us in the future.
Thank you. Thank you. Question number 2. This one goes to John Redins of the Canadian Future Party. You will have 45 seconds to respond. The question is, the uncertainty surrounding the tariffs imposed by the United States is creating great concern among Canadians. How do you plan to protect Canada from future financial challenges? You'll have 45 seconds to respond.
First of all, we need to improve our defenses. We have to get, the Liberals and Conservatives keep promising 2% of our GDP in 4 years. We have to do a 2.5% GDP to get our defense where it's supposed to be, and plus improve the lives of our military. We had the Conservatives that shut down all the veterans stations, and then we had the Liberals open up these centers, but never improved it. We have to start improving how we treat our military and look at procurement to get our ammunition up and everything, just to protect our borders.
Thank you. Thank you. I will open up the floor to everyone at any point to debate this conversation.
Perfect. Okay. I think I agree with David that this really presents a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to kind of set a new path forward for Canada, both financially and with our international partners. So I think right now, given the uncertainty that we're facing at our southern border, it's a perfect time to, 1, strengthen our defense, and 2, diversify our economy. Canada has so much to offer the world that the world doesn't even know about. I mean, raw resources are one thing between liquid natural gas and minerals, critical minerals, potash, all of that, but also Canadian expertise in fields that the world needs. AI, nuclear energy, sustainable energy. I think this is a perfect time to show the world that Canada's a good trading partner and we have a lot to offer.
Hena, I agree with you with those points for sure. You know, Canada didn't start this tariff war. The United States did, and Donald Trump. These tariffs, they are a wake-up call, and it's time for us to meet our full potential as a nation. We need to open up our interprovincial trade within ourselves, within our country. We need to tap into our natural resources. As you alluded to, Hena, we have an abundance of them, and not be so reliant on the Americans. With our oil and gas sector, you know, we have cold climates, which is ideal for liquefied natural gas. We have countries begging us for our natural resources.
Look, I think
Japan, Germany, you name it.
Forgive me. I think I think we're all in agreement. There's a wonderful opportunity here for us to reboot and retool our economy. I think one of the things that Prime Minister Carney, is speaking about regularly is going from 13 economies to 1. And I think we're all in agreement that we need to move now to eradicate the interprovincial trade barriers that are slowing us down and will give us tens of billions of dollars of more economic activity inside Canada. This is something that successive governments for the last 40 or 50 years have tried to accomplish, but there appears to be now a very good Team Canada approach where all provinces and the federal government are ready to do this together.
Thank you. That concludes the debate on this question. So I invite John Redins. You have a final reply for 30 seconds.
We have to diversify our economy is the number one thing, but we have different approaches to how to do it. We have to improve our defense, the threats of the Russians, the Chinese, and even North Korea could be a potential threat. We have to stand up and start protecting ourselves and make it a super economy, a superpower of the North, and that's our campaign strategy.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Question 3, this goes to Hena Masjedee of the NDP, who you will have 45 seconds to respond. So it's been said that the imposition of American tariffs risk job losses across the country. How do you propose to help Canadians, and especially those in your riding of South Ottawa, if they do lose their jobs?
I love this question. I think it's so important because Canadians are justly worried about this. The Americans have started threatening us, and that puts hundreds of thousands of jobs at risk. And in times like this, it's when people need to know that the government has their backs, and the NDP will have your back. We will strengthen programs that Canadians rely on, like GIS, guaranteed income supplements, on the Canadian disability benefit, stuff that will make it easier for you to keep a roof over your head and food on the table. And we will work together with provinces to make sure that people who do lose their jobs still have support and still have an income coming in.
Thank you. I will now open the floor for debate for 2 minutes.
Look, I think it's important for Canadians to understand that the most important thing we can do is look out for each other in some of the turbulent times that are coming. I'm very worried about a potential change in government because I do know that the Conservative Party led by Mr. Poilievre has voted against the following things: the Canada Child Care Benefit, the Canadian Dental Plan, the Canadian National Pharmacare infrastructure that we've already put into place, and so much more. Things that we put into place to look out for each other, to make sure we are there for each other in difficult moments. But we are going to invest very heavily in trades. We're going to invest very heavily in housing. We're going to invest very heavily in other key sectors so we can continue to build our economy here nationally, do well with ourselves, where there are no interprovincial trade barriers, and go forward and conquer markets beyond the United States. We can do this, Canadians, together. The opportunity is right in front of us.
But how are you going to do that with tax cuts? Both you and the Conservatives are proposing tax cuts. You won't be able to do tax cuts because you're going to have to pump in millions of dollars into the social programs to keep our businesses going, and that's the thing. You're throwing stuff out in the open that you're ready to break a promise once you get elected.
Just to add to that, Ottawa South is, as we know, very diverse, as you alluded to as well, Hena. And there's about 98 food banks that rely on the Ottawa Food Bank. And unfortunately, they've had to reduce their output to those 98 agencies by anywhere from 20 to 50% because people just can't afford to pay their bills. They can't afford to buy food after these 10 years of failed Liberal policies.
Actually, it's both Conservative and Liberal policies. I'm a victim of the social bureaucratic system of applying to declare that I have to apply for a disability in Ontario, and I have to apply for a disability credit in Canada, in the federal politics. It should be all on one. Once you've declared you're physically disabled, you should be honored Canadian-wide.
Thank you. Thank you. This concludes the debate on this question, so I now invite Hena for your final reply, and you'll have 30 seconds.
It's interesting because a lot of the issues that are brought up now and that were just discussed, lack of housing, lack of government supports, the disability benefit and other benefits not being enough to live on, these are issues that have been around for at least the last 10 years and that people have been speaking loudly about. And the Liberal government was always in place to address these issues if they wanted to. And I think it's pretty evident that the Liberal government does not have the interests of everyday Canadians and middle-class Canadians at heart.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll move on to question 4. I will continue with another question that matters to many people in the National Capital Region. This one goes to Blair Turner of the Conservative Party. You will have 45 seconds to respond. Should we expect a reduction in public sector employment if your party wins the election? What adjustments does your party propose for the public sector? You'll have 45 seconds to respond.
Thank you for the question. The answer is no, we shouldn't expect a reduction. What will happen is going to be a reduction on consultants and contractors. There's about $17 billion each year paid out to those. Naturally, through attrition, there's about 17,000 federal employees that either retire or find another job. So that's going to be another way to get a handle on things. Pierre, as well, is for people working from home, right? As long as the work is getting done, it's getting done properly and effectively, there's no issue with that.
Thank you. I'll open the floor to all candidates.
Clearly, I beg to differ. I've known Pierre Poilievre for 25 years. I knew him when he was a member of the Harper government and cabinet. And I know that Pierre Poilievre is going to cut public sector jobs because he's going to cut public sector programs and activities. Just take one example. He's announced he's going to shut down CBC. We've announced we're going to increase its funding by $150 million a year because we believe in a national broadcaster. You can't shut down CBC and not expect to be laying people off. You can't shut down the National Capital Commission, which I predict he would also shut down, without laying people off, 200 plus employees. So when Pierre Poilievre uses language like it's 17,000 jobs by attrition alone, we should be, I think, a little skeptical because we've seen this movie before under Prime Minister Harper. We need a strong, solid public service. We rely on public servants to execute on programs. And one of the things that Prime Minister Carney's bringing to this job is a discipline to execute on a number of priorities and get them done. And that's exactly what I hope we're able to do if we're able to earn your trust, and I am in Ottawa South. Thank you.
I would love to jump in on this question. I'm actually a federal employee. I've been working in the government for 7 years, so this is an issue that's close to my heart. And I see the great work that federal employees do every single day. I know that we stepped up during COVID when our country needed us to execute on programs that Canadians relied on, be it CERB or EI. And I know that come this trade war that we did not start, Canadians are going to need to rely on their government again, and they need to know that we are going to execute with nothing else on mind. So I know that the Conservative government is planning on laying off public servants, but the Liberal government has already started. A lot of people I work with, a lot of good friends that we started in the government together are having to find other jobs, even though they're spectacular at their jobs, because the Liberals are trying to reach some sort of quota. So under the NDP, you can be sure that your job is safe.
Thank you. That concludes the debate on this question. So I now invite Mr. Turner for your final reply in 30 seconds.
Well, Hena, you took the words right out of my mouth. The current Liberal government has been laying off federal employees already by the hundreds. So I agree with you with that. As far as McGuinty, you talked about CBC and Mr. Poilievre defunding them. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that after a federal amount of money given to them, they went ahead and laid off quite a few people by the tens, dozens and dozens of people. So.
Thank you. Thank you. Question 5. This one goes out to Mr. David McGuinty. You will have 45 seconds to respond. We hear discussions about reducing barriers that hinder and in some cases prevent interprovincial trade. What would the implications be for the riding of South Ottawa, for Ontario, and for Canada?
Well, if we're able to work together, we've started this dialogue with the premiers already at the first ministers' meetings. We've had 3 separate meetings on this. We've never seen so much momentum between the provinces and the federal government. My colleague, Minister Anita Anand, has already worked towards eliminating a huge amount of the federal impediments that are getting in the way of interprovincial trade. Prime Minister Carney is committed to having all of the federal blockages out of the way by July 1st. We've identified them. We know what has to happen. There is only one province now that's holding out, and the negotiations continue. I think it'll be very positive for Canada's economy, very positive for our local economy and the thousands of businesses that are in Ottawa South, many hundreds of whom I've worked with, and I know them. This will be very positive, I think, in terms of spurring on our growth and giving us the forward momentum to do well.
Thank you. I will open the floor for the debate.
So I think internal trade barriers are something that everybody's been focusing on right now. And I think to really wrangle all of the provinces and territories together, it's going to take a great negotiator. And the NDP has proven to be great at working with different parties that we get along with, parties that we don't get along with. I mean, if you look over the past year, the Canada Dental benefit, that was done with the NDP pushing the Liberal government to take care of Canadians, which is something that they didn't want to do. So you can count on the NDP to be able to work with everybody, all provinces, all territories, to really start a conducive Team Canada First approach.
We had 10 years of the Liberals, and before that, Mr. Harper's government, to open up these interprovincial barriers. Nothing's been done until recently, until Mr. Trump made the threat. Where were they? Where were they? We expect better from them. And the problem is, too, is this also affects our healthcare system. We bring in immigrants that are working at gas stations that have licenses for, like, a radiology. I met one here in Ottawa South that has a X-ray technician. He's pumping gas. Why? This is 10 years of Liberals and another 10 years of Conservatives. So we're hearing promises that are always broken when elected.
John, just to expand on the healthcare, right? Opening up the provincial borders and the territories for healthcare, as far as foreign trained doctors and nurses. Between the two of them, there's about 50,000 of them.
Mr. Harper cut down the transfer payments, sir.
The Blue Seal program, which would speed up that process and have them to take an exam and get recognized here in Canada within 60 days, get the results, and can start practicing within their profession.
And we would be able to do that because of the unprecedented federal investments in healthcare which our government has put into the provinces over the last 10 years.
And
no government has ever put more money into public healthcare than the Liberal government over the last decade.
And I will let you continue because you do have 30 seconds to respond to this.
I want to go back and just respond to something Hena mentioned about the importance of the dental care plan, and I do want to thank her and the NDP for partnering with the Liberal Party for bringing such an important feature for Canada's population, especially our seniors. About 2.5 more million people will be using dental care in the next 5 or 6 years under the program, but it's also important for her to remember and for viewers to remember it was our government that brought the Canada Child Care Benefit, a tax-free, indexed benefit for families, low-income families, lifting tens of thousands of kids out of poverty, for example, out of Ottawa South. The $10 a day daycare program, which is now taking hold across the country, and other measures which continue to build the floor on which we all depend and that we rely and stand on.
Thank you. Thank you. Question 6. This one goes to John Redins. You'll have 45 seconds to respond. The demand for affordable housing is very high across Canada. How will you help your citizens achieve their dream home, a dream of a home ownership? You'll have 45 seconds to respond.
Well, we need a safe and adequate affordable housing. It's a national priority, requiring federal leadership and collaboration with provinces, territories, and municipalities. Who cares who gets the photo op? We have, here in Ontario, we have 80,000 homeless. Just accelerate housing development in cooperation with all levels of governments and territories, prioritize rapid building technology, such as modular home, beginning of federal lands, like the study in Ottawa South on Huron Gate Road for the study center. I was a volunteer there and I pushed 30% affordability, but we got 20%. That's the sort of things we have to do, is get rid of the bureaucratic system. That should have been already started last year.
Thank you. I'll open the floor for debate. I see a lot of nodding, so there'll be lots of discussion.
Well, I know the CLC project on Heron Road very well. I've been working with the Guildwood Estate Community Centre and the folks that live there for the last 4 years and making sure that transition occurs well. There, of course, have been some Indigenous land claims which have slowed it down. Look, there's an incredible opportunity here for us to bring in a housing plan which is like the one, except even more aggressive, like the one we did in Ottawa, in Canada after the Second World War, where we built many thousands of bungalows to house our returning veterans. In the last several years, I can tell you that our government has put $165 million into Ottawa community housing to repair 11,000 units, $175 million from the Housing Accelerator Fund to build 32,000 homes, 4,400 of which will be built in the next 3 years and are underway, and 1,005 new homes under the Apartment Construction Loan Program. We have been working on this diligently in a very practical way in Ottawa South. I'm very pleased to see a lot of these projects underway, but there's so much more to do, and of course it will give rise to more economic activity, and we're meeting that as well with a new program in trades, providing up to $8,000 per tradesperson to be trained to be able to help us in this sector.
So that's all very well and good, and that sounds awesome on paper, but I actually just bought a house last year. I had to live at home until I was 28 to be able to afford a down payment. And I'm very lucky because my parents wanted me at home, so shout out to them. But it's not feasible for everybody to have to live at home for 10 years after they finish high school just to be able to afford an apartment. It's crazy. So while these plans sound all well and good, I can tell you from experience, they don't work. And the NDP has a plan to build 3 million affordable homes by 2030. So I would put my trust in the NDP. I mean, I've seen the Liberals' plan, and it didn't really work out for me.
And we've seen recently a Conservative plan to cut the taxes. Well, we need that's going to be downloaded on the municipalities further for fire and police. And people are talking about your security. Well, you're going to be spending more taxes for it.
And I thank you, and I will give you another 30 seconds to wrap up this debate.
Well, the fact that is, we have the last two governments' promises kept, promises broken. We have to fix what they promised. We have to have election reform to change things, change discussion around the table. Right now, past the post isn't working, and we have to have a proper discussion of how things go and open up the floodgates for train people in immigration to build these homes.
Thank you very much. Question 7. This goes to Hena Masjedee of NDP. You will have 45 seconds to respond. The question is, the Canadian Medical Association estimates that 6.5 million Canadians do not have a family doctor. What measures will your party take to resolve this shortage and ensure that all Canadians have access to health care? You will have 45 seconds to respond.
Thank you for this question. This is so important. The state of our healthcare, honestly, is a tragedy. And Tommy Douglas did not have this in mind when he came up with universal healthcare back in the 60s. So the issue is not that we have a shortage of doctors. The issue is that we have a shortage of doctors that are certified by the government. So right now in Canada, we have so many foreign trained doctors who have their certification, but who cannot practice in Canada because there's so many barriers. Like, in 2021, there were more residency spots open for Canadian medical graduates than there were Canadian medical graduates. And 90% of residency spots are for Canadian medical graduates. So all internationally trained doctors can't do their residency and then can't practice medicine. So internationally trained doctors are 6 times more likely to be underemployed because they just can't get their qualifications fast enough, or it takes too long, or there's too many barriers for them to do that.
Thank you. I will open it to the floor for everyone to discuss for 2 minutes.
And just to add to that, as I spoke to about the Blue Seal program that the Conservative Party of Canada would like to introduce, our national debt alone, we're all paying $54.1 billion in interest this year, which is more money than what the federal health transfer is to healthcare. And I think that's pretty backwards.
Look, everybody understands right now that we have a challenge in frontline medicine. At the Ottawa General Hospital, where I spent a lot of time, at CHEO, where I've helped fundraise, the Cancer Care Ontario, Stem Cell Research, the Eye Institute, we need more capacity. I think it's important now for our government, a federal government, to impose more conditions on the provinces. That's my personal view. I think it's something I'd like to bring forward. I think we ought to be holding provinces to account. The vast majority of provinces today are actually governed by Conservative governments. But we haven't seen the kind of uptick in doctors that we can either get through foreign trained doctors, which will come as the interprovincial standards are made more uniform, but also it takes an investment. It takes the provinces, and in this case, Premier Ford's government in Ontario, to really bear down on the practical implications of getting more doctors into the residency spots, into their specialties. There are many ways we can do this, but I think it's going to take a national, federal, provincial joint initiative like the one we used to bring in the child care benefit, like the one we used for $10 a day daycare, and like the one we just did for dental care. So I think this is achievable, but we've got to turn our minds to this very quickly. It's very problematic right in our own backyard.
It sure is, David. You know, having knocked on, again, thousands of doors, it's healthcare comes up. It's probably one of the top 3 issues: cost of living, healthcare, and public safety. And I'm actually quite shocked at how many families don't have family doctors. Me, I'm one of them. I have a nurse practitioner, but it's astounding.
Thank you. That concludes the debate, and I'll give Hena 30 seconds to respond to it.
So universal healthcare is one of the programs I think Canada and Canadians are proudest of. And I think the state of our current universal healthcare is just a shame for everybody. And I think under the NDP, we will create more residency positions to make sure that anybody, any newcomer, any immigrant who's here who has the qualifications from their home country, you can practice. We've been asking a lot from our healthcare practitioners. During COVID, they were frontline heroes. And it's time that we stand up for them and we give them the support that they need.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Question 8. This will go to Blair Turner of the Conservative Party, and you will have 45 seconds to respond. Too many Canadians are struggling with rising prices on almost everything, including everyday expenses. There's been talk of an affordability crisis. How will you help Canadians with these costs? You'll have 45 seconds to respond.
Thank you for the question. So the Conservative Party of Canada, we would like to introduce an income tax reduction on middle class by 15%, which will allow Canadians to take home more on their paycheck, eliminating the carbon tax altogether, which in turn will have a direct relation on the cost of food. You tax the farmers that grow the food and the truckers that deliver it. At the end of the day, we all pay for it at the stores. So we need to reduce the taxes and focus on that.
Thank you. I will open the floor for 2 minutes to debate this.
I totally agree with Blair that we need to reduce taxes. And I was personally shocked to see Prime Minister Carney, as his first move as Prime Minister, cut taxes for millionaires and billionaires and then put that tax burden back on the middle class and the working class. Under the NDP, we will remove that burden. We will make sure that if you make under $20,000 a year, you don't pay federal income taxes, because you shouldn't. We will remove GST on essentials like kids' toys, kids' clothing, and home energy bills, internet bills, cell phone bills, just to make life more affordable. Because right now, it's gotten out of control. Whatever the Liberals have been doing over the past 10 years has made life very difficult for average Canadians. I know, I'm feeling the squeeze on my wallet as well. So the NDP has plans to help make life a little bit more affordable for you.
Except the Liberal government of Canada did not cut taxes for the millionaires and billionaires in this country. In fact, its first act in 2015 was to increase taxes on the richest in Canada. It also brought in a separate tax for corporate profits in our banking sector and beyond during the entire pandemic period. What we in fact are doing is providing a small middle class tax cut, saving a two-income household about $850 a year. We differ with the Conservatives. We don't believe we can afford a 15% cut. And when our numbers come out, a fully costed platform will be revealed quite shortly. It'll be interesting to compare and contrast the numbers from the Conservative Party. I think there are ways that we're going to be able to tackle this to help with the affordability crisis. I think the way in which we're going to move towards building homes, 500,000 homes a year going forward, at about 25% less expensive because of their nature, they're modular. We're setting up a $25 billion fund to be able to bring the federal government back into the housing business by providing finance. We're eliminating the GST for first-time home buyers up to $1 million. That's quite a generous $50,000 saving there. And as I said, we're going to continue with the core programs that we're not going to be able to keep under a change in government. Ottawa South residents need to be very clear on this. You will not have the child care benefit, the dental plan. You will not have a national pharmacare plan if there's a change in government.
Say on this, please.
You know what? I will have to just end this debate at this moment. And the next debate, everyone will have time to talk whenever they would like to. I will give the last 30 seconds to Mr. Turner to conclude this debate.
Thank you. The Conservative Party was the first party to actually introduce that, getting rid of the GST on homes less than $1.3 million, which would save families up to $60,000 on the principal of their home, Mr. McGuinty. Not only that, but we're going to actually increase from $24,000 income of seniors to $34,000 tax-free. There's a lot of seniors in our riding, and a lot of them are struggling to pay the bills.
Thank you very much. Okay, question number 9. This goes to Mr. David McGuinty of the Liberal Party. You will have 45 seconds to respond. Canada has a large Francophone population and a concentration of Francophone in the riding of Orleans. How do you propose to protect the French language and the Francophone traditions? You'll have 45 seconds.
Premièrement, j'aimerais dire en français que je suis francophone, j'ai été élevé en français. Ma mère est francophone, ma femme est francophone, mes 4 enfants sont francophones. Donc, je suis là depuis longtemps avec la communauté franco-ontarienne. I've been there for a long time defending and working with Franco-Ontarians. For example, we're going to have to make sure that our 2 official languages are jealously safeguarded in this country. You know, it's an interesting thing. I've had the privilege of working and traveling quite a few places. I lived abroad for 8 years, and we are very strong on bilingualism here, which is a good thing. I'd like to see our kids coming out of high school with 3 or 4 languages, as they do in the Netherlands or Germany, to prepare us for the global markets that we intend to conquer. So I think working together with 2 official languages is eminently doable. 22% of Ottawa South is Francophone and growing through immigration.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll open up the floor to everyone else. And please, you are being very polite, but you are allowed to interrupt if you'd like to get your opinions in.
Dave, I agree with you. You know, the French language, our 2 official languages are very important. Moi aussi, je parle français. J'ai reçu mon certificat bilingue à l'école secondaire. La population en Ottawa Sud, il y a une très grande population qui parle français. So yes, I do think it is important that we need to continue to support both official languages, French and English.
I echo that, but I also think it's really important to consider the demographics of Ottawa South specifically. Now, I speak 3 languages because I spoke Farsi as my mother tongue, and then I learned English and French in school. So the population of our riding specifically, there's so many immigrants who are already struggling with learning English as a family and as children. And if you don't provide that support, that government support, or that educational training for kids to be able to easily pick up French and English, we are going to lose our bilingualism. I think it's going to take more of a concerted government effort at all languages, because I did French immersion in school in Ottawa South, and there are so many areas of improvement, and I think we really need to focus on who is our audience here. Who are we trying to get to be bilingual? Who are we trying to get to share our bilingual culture with? And then we have to change our programs to fit the individuals.
Personally speaking, I've been here for 20 years. I've been on my disability since 2010. I've asked federal and provincial governments if they will help me, assist me in obtaining French language in this city. Instead, I haven't got an offer to date, but I see other languages being offered the French language. It is absolutely frustrating because I feel bad, because sometimes I feel like I'm a burden to society because there's no programs there to get me off the social assistance or social programs. We need a review of the social program thing, and also I couldn't get a word in about tax reform.
I have to just stop you on this debate just at the moment, but we'll have more time to chat. This does conclude the debate on this question, but I will give Mr. McGuinty the last 30 seconds to reply.
My colleague from the NDP is right. We need to keep looking out for ourselves and our newest Canadian neighbours who are arriving. That's why our government has invested so much into settlement and integration in Ottawa South. I've been pleased to work with OCISO, with the Somali Family Services Centre, excuse me, and other groups that are working hard to make sure that we settle and integrate folks who are arriving in Canada. It's important. But I would say this about the question of French. There are 900 million francophones in the world. It puts us in a very good position trade-wise and economically if we can continue to grow our French capacity to be able to trade with those countries.
Thank you. Thank you. That concludes that question. Question number 10, this goes to Mr. John Redins. You'll have 45 seconds to respond. Yep. Climate change and its effects are an important issue for Canadians. How do you propose to address climate change in Canada? And I'll give you 45 seconds to respond.
All right. First thing is that we have to go hand in hand, service our resources to friendly neighborhoods. We are a party that believes in climate change, believes that it is dangerous to humans. We know only that true democracies will fight climate change. True democracies. And that will we have to take steps today to defend democracies, decide whether we can confront climate change in the future. We've got to continue implementing measures to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, including industrial carbon levies, fund research and development for clean tech and innovation, and provide incentives for consumers, buildings, and industry to extract their carbon emission. We had a price in the environment under Brian Mulroney and George Bush. I lived in North and Western Ontario. Our lakes and rivers were dying because of acid rain. They put a carbon tax, they put a price on the environment, and they cleaned up the industry.
And I'll let you continue at the end, but I'll give the floor for 2 minutes to everyone for debate.
So this is a question that's very close to my heart because it's my generation that's going to suffer the worst effects of climate change. And I think that one thing we need to do, just straight up at the beginning, stop acting like it's a problem for future generations. Right now, we see the issues of climate change. We see the consequences of climate change. I mean, you look at what happens in BC every single fire season. You look at what happened in Jasper and the devastation wrought there. You look at global trends with tornadoes and hurricanes. So climate change is here, and we need to stop planning for programs that are going to be effective by 2050 or 2040. Right now, we need to put a carbon tax back on. And I agree with the Conservatives on one thing, that it shouldn't be on the consumers. So right now, 70% of global CO2 emissions are from the top 100 companies. Why are we putting the onus on individuals to fix climate change when the perpetrators can get off scot-free with just paying a fine? So for the sake of my generation, the generation that's going to come after us, we have to figure carbon the carbon tax out, and we have to act like it's a priority.
Which is why we've kept the carbon price on industrial pollution. As an environmental lawyer who's worked in this field for 30 years, this is the challenge of our generation, of all generations. We need to start treating climate change like the urgent problem that it is. How do we get there? We use the right price signals. We use the right economic tools. We drive up efficiency, not just in energy, but in terms of the use of materials, for example, in housing and in water, because we think we have unlimited water, but we don't. We have to create new parks, new zones. And one thing we don't do is what Mr. Flaherty, the deceased Minister of Finance under Mr. Harper, did do, which was eliminate all of the incentives that were available for homeowners and small businesses to invest in new technology, new infrastructure, new windows, new doors, new furnaces, new heat pumps, to be able to get our emissions down. We can do this. We can do well, and we can do very right at the same time. These two things can go together.
Thank you. That does conclude our debate on that question, but I will give the floor back to Mr. Reeds to have a closing statement, 30 seconds.
As we fight climate change at the same time, we should create an energy fund to direct revenue from fossil fuel to support new carbon neutral, just as revenues from the horse-driven economy of the 19th century proceed the transition to fossil fuels in the 20th century. So the carbon economy power the change to renewables.
Thank you. Very well said. We have time for one more question, so I will direct this to you, Hena Masjedee of the NDP. So Canada is a global energy leader. How would your party harness that expertise to make Canada a world leader in sustainable, renewable, and alternative energy, supporting both economic growth and climate responsibility? I will give you 45 seconds.
Perfect. Great question. So I think right now it is evident that we're at a place where we have to balance our climate responsibilities and our economic responsibilities. And Canada as a country has been blessed with so many natural resources, least of all our natural gas and our liquefied natural gas, and our oil sands. So there is no way in which we can do a change to renewable energy that's going to just ignore the jobs and the human cost that comes with switching energies. So the NDP is focused on training up individuals in fields that will be in need. If you're in renewable energies, if you're in sustainable energy, the NDP will support you because these are the people that we need for the future.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll open the floor for everyone to debate that for 2 minutes.
I believe our standards of energy and to protecting the environment as far as the oil sands and oil fields are other countries look to us as leading. We have other countries that are asking us, begging us for our liquefied natural gas so that they can get off their oil as well. So we have an abundance of that, and we need to tap into that. And
but we also need your leader, to admit that climate change is real, and he hasn't to date.
We believe, sir, that the Conservatives need to deal with climate change. And by that, I mean we actually need to deal with it. Not follow liberal practices of setting emissions targets. They have no intention of keeping. We believe that Canadian ingenuity is needed to tackle this problem and to reduce emissions without taxing people to death.
Like, we need him to do a criminal background check. We need him to do it.
There are many ways for us to go forward as a people to do very well in the future of energy efficiency, because the world has no choice. We are transitioning away ultimately from fossil fuels. It will be some time before we transition, but we're going to unleash the full force and effect of the market. One of the ways we can do this is have a major federal project office where we can review and approve projects much more quickly and more efficiently by combining both federal and provincial environmental assessment, because there are sometimes lags on either process. This can be accelerated. This can be made to be more efficient. The other thing we can do is, as I said earlier, is to go back to our small commercial operations, our homes, our churches, our places of worship, our community centers, and incent them to invest in the new kinds of technologies and energy efficiency investments that will pay off, save them money, and reduce the GHG output from those buildings.
How come Mr. Carney is not going to repeal Bill C-69, Mr. McGuinty?
Bill C-69 is a very powerful and positive force for environmental assessment. What we're going to do is work with the provinces together to make sure that we have a one-stop shop, a window through which we enter to be able to get those projects done and get some fossil fuels to market. For example, I'm a big supporter of liquid natural gas. This is a transition fuel of choice for the future. It's one, I think, where we can do very well as a country. We're going to be able to have to do this with our provinces and with our Indigenous peoples. What we won't do is have Mr. Carney go up north and announce he's going to create a military base in Nunavut without even talking to the people who actually have authority over that land.
Thank you. That will conclude this debate, but I will give you 30 seconds, Hena, to wrap this up.
Perfect. So what we're being asked to do is not unprecedented. If you look at within Canada, our eastern provinces, you look at Quebec, you look at Newfoundland, they are run majority by renewable energy. And if you look at globally, if you look at a place like Costa Rica, that has most of its energy come from renewable sources. Canada can do it. We just have to have the will to put future generations and the well-being of future Canadians in front of our economic gains. And I know it's going to be hard for two parties that continuously want to build pipelines, but I believe the NDP has the appetite to put future generations first.
Thank you. I have been given the opportunity to have one more question. It will be a rapid-fire question. It will be 30 seconds, and we will go in order of which we started. And the question has to do with the LRT in our city. It is a big topic, and it is a great move. It's a great move to move forward with it, environmentally, efficiently, moving people around without any type of pollution. How will your party help support this? And I'll start with you, Ms. McGuinty, 30 seconds.
Thank you. When the plan first came to light, I sat down with the mayor and the designers of the light rail system for Ottawa and discovered that it was, for example, not going to the airport. And so as a result, I explained to the city I would not be able to support their $1.3 billion ask of the federal government to be able to build the light rail system unless it was brought to the airport. And then, of course, after COVID, when there was a lack of money at the airport, they came back to me and I managed to go and find another $10 million to complete the light rail connection to the airport. So we have anchored this light rail project, I think, right now for Ottawa, but there's more to go.
Thank you. Mr. Reid.
If anything, going forward, I'm part of the Ottawa Transit Riders Group, and I've been following this inquiry, everything that the province brought down. We need the secrecy to stop. We need to know where our tax dollars are going and who's getting those tax dollars. We don't need insiders getting paid off monies. We need to get it done. And thank God they got the system gradually improved over the last year and a half. But we have to stop the behind closed doors talk.
Thank you. Hena?
So I went to Carleton University for my undergrad, and in my fourth year, the O train shut down, and it only just started up again this year. I graduated in 2019, so that's 6 years for the O train to become available to students again. And in that time, what happened? Student life got harder, traffic got worse, especially in front of Carleton University, and now that the system's back up, the O train's running, it's not good. And we paid so much money, the city has suffered so much and continues to suffer because our ridership is not up to par, or our transit system is not up to par. And under the NDP, we will transition to electric buses, and to make sure that you can ride the bus for free. You shouldn't have to pay for a city service like that.
Thank you. And I'll let you, Mr. Turner, finish that off.
Obviously there have been some issues with the public transit, the O train. That's unfortunate to hear. And as taxpayers, we don't like to see our money being spent that way. So there is always room for improvement, for sure. And from the top down federally, I have faith in Mayor Sutcliffe.
Okay, thank you. Well, that does conclude our debate, but before we do walk away, every candidate will have 1 minute for a closing statement, and we will go in the reverse order. So we will start off with Conservative leader, Mr. Blair Turner.
Thank you. David McGuinty wants you to pretend that the past decade never happened. Trudeau is gone, but the Liberal Party remains, and they cannot be trusted to bring forward the change our country needs. In this election, you have a choice. You can vote for more of the same high taxes, high housing, and soft on crime policies, or you can vote for the Conservative Party. We will build homes, fix the budget, and make our streets safe. We will unleash resources and bring home jobs so that we can stand up to Trump from a position of strength. It is a time for change in Ottawa South. It is a time for common sense conservative government. I'm Blair Turner, and I'd be honored to represent you in Parliament. On April 28th, I'm asking you to choose change, which only the Conservatives can bring. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I do apologize. I said leader, but I meant leader in your riding. So okay. I will say thank you. We will go to Hena Masjedee of the New Democratic Party riding. Thank you. 1 minute to close.
So I usually don't agree with Conservatives, but I agree with Blair right now that it is time for change. And we've had Liberal leadership over the past 10 years. And in that 10 years, I think a lot of Canadians, a lot of people in Ottawa South would agree with me that things have gotten harder. It has been rough just to keep a roof over your head and food on the table, just to pay your bills. I mean, vacation spending? Absolutely not. No one has money for that anymore. It is rough just to get by, let alone thrive. It is time for change. And the New Democrats have always been a party for everyday Canadians, for working Canadians. We will work to make life better for you, easier, so you can afford your groceries, you can afford your rent, you don't have to be afraid of greedy landlords jacking up your rent, and that you can be sure that Canadian foreign politics is centered around human rights and around doing the right thing. So I'd like to state in my closing statement that Canada should not be supporting Israel's genocide on Palestine. Under an NDP government, we will put an arms embargo on Israel, and we will recognize Palestinian statehood. On April 28th, vote for me, Hena Masjedee, for change.
Thank you. I will now give the final remarks for you, Mr. John Redins of the Canadian Future Party.
Thank you for the moderator and staff at Rogers for letting us have the debate. I'm with the new party that was just created. Like I said, we offer no nonsense and evidence-based solutions that are developed for Canadians. We also, in the coming days, will be introducing our platform. I think it is on the 14th. We will be introducing our platform to Canadians. We want the leading parties to steal our campaign. That's how we feel, how important it is to Canadians, because 70% of Canadians are in the middle. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'll give the floor to you, Mr. David McGuinty of the Liberal Party, for your closing statements.
Thank you very much for watching, viewers coming from Ottawa South and beyond. And thank you to Rogers for hosting this debate again. Folks, this election's about moving forward together. We are in a very important moment right now in the history of the country. The United States relationship is at risk. We're going to have to find the right way to manage that relationship trade-wise. We're connected with the United States. Our watersheds, our species, our people, 400,000 people a day were crossing the border back and forth. $2.5 billion a day of trade. There's a lot at stake. So I'm hoping that I get to continue to serve you and to continue to work on important issues like affordable housing, childcare, early learning, support for seniors and students, supports for our workers and our businesses, a serious climate plan, reconciliation efforts, foreign affairs, and beyond. My name's David McGuinty. I'm asking for your support in this election campaign. If I'm able to make it through, please call me anytime. I'd be pleased to serve you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, all candidates. Thank you very much for being the voice of Ottawa South, and also to make sure that you always continue to be there for your constituents. I know there's many ways that people can reach you, that they could speak to you. I ask everyone at home to take that time, have those conversations around the table, have those conversations with your constituents. It's important that we all make it to the polls April 28th. So I wish good luck to each and every one of you. And I want to say a big thank you to Rogers TV for making this happen, and of course to all the volunteers behind each and every one of these cameras, making sure that everything is heard, said, and done properly. And thank you even in the control rooms for everyone making sure that all candidates made it here. We also had an opportunity to invite everyone, and thank you to those who showed up. Have a lovely day. Thank you. That was great.
Connect with us by visiting our website or email us at comments@rogerstv.com. You're watching Rogers TV. Are Are you a content creator looking to expand your audience and make your voice heard in your community? Rogers TV wants to provide you with a platform to share your hobbies, interests, and stories for free. Visit us to find out more.
And big moments. This is what the playoffs are all about.